Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Vagrant Queen. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let me break it down. First and foremost, I probably have to say, this might be my favorite episode of the season so far. It was a really good episode. I love kind of the murder mystery aspect of the episode. It was very, you can definitely tell it was heavily influenced by, Clue, the movie, from the 80s with Tim Curry, which I love that movie. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I've seen the movie a couple times. It's so damn good. It's so fun, and this episode heavily pays homage to it because there's so many little references here and there. You're like, okay, that's definitely from. It's not them just doing kind of a Clue-like thing. It's literally paying homage to the movie. It's so good. Nevertheless, because I love where this all started at. It's we're making this plan of how we're going to get in, Areopa and stuff like that, but then it was a situation of them drinking, and I love me being wait, you guys do jobs and get paid in beer? They're not all the time, just only when the alcohol's really good. So it's hey, we don't know, we're about to literally go do an insane plan. Isaac's Isaac's let's celebrate and drink, but it's we have to do planning and stuff like that. So Alita is all right, we drink while we plan, which is just the worst thing ever because now they're super plastered. She's oh, you know what we need to do? We need to decapitate Lazaro with this machete, and and Isaac said, yeah, put his head right here, and they're just kind of having so much fun and everything. And Alita's kind of oh, I want to tell you guys something. And her and May are touching hands. You could tell it's and it's just kind of I love you guys. And then she goes over to Winnybot and everything. But their little fun, their party is cut short when the parking authority shows up. And I love that one of the people is there and he's sick. His name's Lloyd in particular. I'm even they're why is he here? If he's sick, it's oh, they don't pay for sick days. But I'm he is deathly ill. And I even love that. And I love the entire time because everyone's still coming off their buzz. They're handling this the way they are. The parking authority steps aboard. I also love that they ring the doorbell and they're wait, we have a doorbell now? And Amay's yeah, I wanted to try it out. And it's just kind of a thing of guns pointed at everybody. And it's whoa, where'd you get those guns? We took your guns. It's we got guns all over this ship. So I love that. But it's a situation that obviously May is all right, let's not shoot up the place because obviously she doesn't want the ship kind of left in the condition. She doesn't want it to be in a situation. So it's hey, let's go get some snacks and stuff like that. But there was that moment between, I can't remember if that was before. No, it was after, I think. Because Isaac and Alita are, fixing snacks and stuff like that. And they kind of have a nice heart-to-heart moment because, obviously apologizing about everything. Obviously Isaac's he didn't want, obviously things were good last episode, but we're continuing to be he's I really am sorry about everything. And she's me too. And saying that, we're cool, right? And it's they are, and they definitely yeah. And so they're even more cool. I like that. But obviously it's just kind of for them, it's we could always just kind of stun and run type of situation. But Aleda's yeah, it's more like a kill and run. It's yeah, but May probably wouldn't be too happy about it. Because, look at this ship. And it's yeah, it's the cleanest it's ever been. And it's yeah, I think she's everything, Aleda's everything's better when May's around. And he's oh, so why don't you? And she's no, we're just friends. It's not like that. He's sure it's not. And she's no, but because for her, all of this just got repaired. So she's we're good friends again, all of us. And she doesn't want to lose what they have right now again, and I think she's afraid if she brings that up to May, and May might not feel the same, which Isaac knows that May feels the same way. It's she might basically kind of surprise you on how she feels about the whole thing, but bringing everybody food, and I love that the two of those people who drink eating the soup are just slurping super loud, and just everyone's looking, and it's just I love that. And so there's also the situation of Lloyd, the lights go out, Lloyd's dead, his face is blown open, and it's holy crap, who did it? Who had a motive to kill him? Well, obviously you guys did, and it's no, we didn't. And even then it's kind of a situation of yeah, you guys literally said you have guns stashed everywhere because they were we couldn't have done them, we don't have our guns. And then Isaac bumps into something and some guns open up and he slowly closes it back. And it's just even Elena not making the situation better because she's if our guns, if we did it, had to do double the damage. And Amay is you're not helping the case. She's see, but I said it would do double the damage. So that's obviously not our guns. And it was her constantly kind of undermining their our whole thing of like we didn't do it. It's like, you know, if we were murderers, we would have killed all. I would have already killed all of you. And then May's like, stop talking. She's like, I said if, which is so funny because it's not like they're a. I love this whole thing of like, oh, we're murderers. It's like, well, you guys are. You've killed people. You've killed plenty of authority people over the course of the series. Just anytime you're getting out of a situation, it's led to a lot of death and destruction. I mean, you've killed a lot of bug-like creatures. Any bad guy that's tried to stop you over the course of the series, you've killed a shit ton of people. What are you talking about? You know, that's why I'm like, I mean, I guess because it's like, well, that was self-defense. So I guess that's why it's like, I mean, murder's still murder, even in regards to self-defense or whether you just straight out murder. But it's like, oh. So it's like, but who killed Lloyd? It's like, oh, but then like the entire parking authority starts pointing fingers at each other, like who could have done it? And I love that Isaac kind of steps up and he's just like, I'm going to be the one that kind of solved the case. He almost plays kind of like that Tim Curry role in as a butler for the movie, kind of taking the lead on kind of like the investigation and stuff like that. It's like, who could have had a motive to kill him? What we need to focus on first is who could have had a motive to kill him. And the entire authority is like, you. And he's like, no, not me. But obviously, so everyone's got their own reasons for potentially wanting him dead. Then they find out there's another person dead, Khan. It turns out their ship is going to, and it's like everything's literally going wrong. There's also that lady who's hitting on Isaac, but he's like, yeah, I'm married and everything. And it's like, oh. I also love that they had ordered food earlier in the episode. The doorbell rings again, and all of them answer door very Clue-like. And it's like, oh. And then they're like, he's like, oh, here's the food. He's like, oh, can I use the restroom? He's like, yeah, you know, I threw in an extra thing for you guys. And they all turn around and huddle around. Okay, yeah, sure. There's, you know. And he said something. He's like, thanks. He's like, what'd you say about the body? He's like, what? No, I was asking about the restroom. What bodies? He's like, there's no body. What are you talking about? There's no bodies in the washroom. Ha ha. Everyone's just laughing nervously. Ha 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 ha. And then they stop. And then the look on Isaac's face with his eyes bulging. I love it, dude. It's just, like I said, this was just like straight up like, which is always kind of an effed up thing. It's like, this was murder fun, which is weird to say, but it's just like a murder mystery, but it's just like tons and tons of fun. But I just love, like, obviously you had those two, right, because, like, home dude went to the bathroom, and that dude was like, oh, my God, like, what are we going to do? The fact of the matter is, and he starts screaming, there are 2 dead bodies in, like, the main hall or something like that, and Isaac slaps him. He's like, sorry, I had to stop him from screaming, which I'm like, another reference to Clue, because, like, that would constantly be a thing because one of the ladies would scream all the time and someone's like, sorry, I had to slap her to stop her from screaming. So it's like, it's so good because, like I said, even answering the doorbell, it makes me kind of want to I need to track down the movie Clue. I kind of want to watch a movie Clue now just because of this episode. It got me buzzed and all nostalgic about it. It's been a good couple, it hasn't been forever, but it's been a good couple years. I can't remember exactly, but it has been close enough in recent memory that I can slightly remember, like, how it's definitely been a couple years since I've seen the movie, but regardless, tangents and all that. But then they decide to split up, which even I'm like, oh, splitting up was kind of the worst idea. And I love Isaac's handing out, like, it looks like chopped up hot dogs. And I love that Aleda, like, has a longer one, but she breaks hers off to look like it's the same length just so she could go off with a May. Which I was like, oh, that's super adorable. But they're all kind of, like, broken off into their own sections. Like, I love the 2 authority people kind of being stuck together, and they find a secret passage, and it's like, all right, you want to go first? He's like, no. And it's like, all right, fine, we'll go at the same time. And I love they try to go side to side, but I was like, wouldn't it make more sense? And they turn horizontally. I'm like, okay, see, that makes more sense. And so their stomach to stomach squeezing by, and then later on that path leads them to the bathroom where they find the delivery dude dead. I also love it later on because it's like, wait, there's a secret passage, because everyone was like, wait, we have a secret passage here? I mean, because obviously Isaac doesn't know the ins and outs of the ship, but even I love that just being a thing of like, why the hell do we have this secret passage? And why does it go directly to your bathroom? That's kind of gross. But nevertheless, like May and Aleda are kind of having, you know, that time together, you know, and it's a sweet, intimate moment where, like, you can, it's like, she's like, didn't you have something to tell us? Like, oh, no, I don't have anything to say. And then May just kind of, like, I forgot what it was Aleda said, but she was kind of, like, leaning in, like, oh, this would be kind of the perfect romantic moment, like, you know, you got to kiss the girl, like, kiss May. She's like right there. It's a moment of like, oh, this seemed like that moment where you kiss someone passionately, but it's like Aleda's like, well, haha, kind of pats her on the shoulder and walks away, and she makes a face like, why the hell did I do that? Why did I say that? I was like, oh, that's so stupid. And then Isaac's talking to the lady, and she's like, oh, where you from? And he explains like it's a planet you never heard of. Like obviously it's extenuating circumstances why he's traveling with May and Aleda. And she's like, well, tell me the planet. He's like, you probably haven't heard of it. Tell me the planet. She's like, you definitely haven't heard. She's like, tell me. He's like, Earth. She's like, yeah, I've never heard of it. But then it turns out later on, it's like, I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself. I think this happened afterwards. But with the whole thing of like, she actually knows the galaxy, because I forgot, because it's not the Milky Way galaxy. Like obviously we refer to it as a Milky Way galaxy, but they have a different name for it. But it turns out, oh, she's actually been there. I was like, oh, something's gonna happen to her before she gets a chance to say anything. It does. She totally ends up dying. But I was like, oh, that sucks, because that was like one step closer to him potentially finding a way home. I mean, because the only people who have access to ships to get there is the authority, the Republic, but we don't know whether that was true or whether that was 100%. Well, because the ship's necessary to get him home. Like you probably also need to know the exact location on how to actually find your way to that galaxy. He went through a wormhole, so it's not the easiest thing. He'll probably recreating those circumstances that led him to this galaxy. But so there's like 3 dead bodies now, and eventually it just keeps stacking up. One dude ends up dead, and it's just kind of like, wait, who else could it be? Then eventually, I skipped over it a little bit, but they eventually all got weapons. It's like, all right, we need to fight back, because they end up finding out it's a creature, it's like a bug thing. And they ended up getting weapons, and I love that it's like, wait, a pipe? But it turned out to be like a taser type of thing, and it's like, oh, it was literally essentially a candlestick. It was like a giant metal thing that looked kind of like a candlestick, but it was kind of like a flamethrower. I think that's supposed to be kind of a clue, wink and nod to oh, it was so and so in the dining room with the candlestick type of situation. And then Isaac's like, oh, what is this? And Aleda's like, that's a rope, Isaac. And he just kind of felt bad, like, oh, everything else was something special. This is just rope. Fine, whatever. And so they split up yet again. I love that. Because it's like, oh, you guys go find the device, and we'll go monster hunting type of situation. Like I said, I'm kind of going a little out of order with everything. But slowly but surely, everyone else ends up getting killed, because we find out this creature, because May's the one that ends up figuring it out later on, that basically we kind of understand, because I love that, it's like, Aleda's like, wait, May's like, I figured it out, and Isaac's like, the only way to really break this whole situation down is we go step by step, and and then May cuts him off, and it's like, it started with Lloyd, and as I had no idea, oh, no, he was like, oh, that's literally not what I was going to say, so obviously May take the floor, but basically, the reason why Lloyd was sick was because when he went to vacation, there was he was infected with a parasite. Said parasite is a female, and so it grew out of him, hence why his face looked the way he did, because later on the thing is, why double hide his body, because his body was hidden, and because he got double murdered, it was he was already super dead beforehand, because they were like, was he alive? It's like, no, he was super dead, so it's like, how did his body get moved? But it's been killing people, and then obviously later on I was like, oh, it went a little zombie-ish too, because of one of the other, was it Khan? And I even love at one point they were like, Khan, they even make a Star Trek reference, because they're like, Khan. I love that, because more they did that literal same thing this season of Legends of Tomorrow, so I just thought that was just kind of neat. But nevertheless, basically this thing has been infecting them with its babies, and these babies are taking control of the people's brain, so people are kind of coming back zombie wise. So it's all right, the lady who's kind of in charge of the authority, she's kind of running for her life. She's like, oh yeah, that delivery dude's vehicle is still here, so I'm gonna go. Granted, she gets caught and killed anyway, but it's kind of a thing of yeah, let's kill all of them, and they kind of die by zombie rules, so kind of stab them in their mouths type of situation. Everything and everyone kind of gets dealt with, but obviously they finally have to go after the big bad herself, and I love that even in the middle of when she's about to kill them and everything, I just whoa, why'd you move Lloyd's body? It's like, oh yeah, I moved Lloyd's body because I needed to eat, and it's just kind of Also love like Amay's got this whole thing, literally entire episode about like trying not to make a mess. It's like it's like find guns and everything, because she even unlocked the bathroom door just because she didn't want like shots fired or even Isaac busting through the door. But nevertheless, it was interesting. I wasn't expecting it to also talk to. That's what I was thinking at first. I was like, wait, did it possess someone's body and transform into that state? It's like, oh no, that's just, I guess these creatures are just like sentient like that. And so she's just talking and stuff like that. And I wouldn't expect her to kind of have the voice that she has. Kind of has a bit of a lovely voice. But luckily they got away from her. Ended up, right. Isaac kind of trips her off a little bit with the rope that was left on the floor, and they end up shocking her and end up killing her. Obviously, the air is running out because the power is going on the ship, and they have to like get the device that the authority had, and they cut into her and kind of have to dig in deep. And I'm like, obviously, I'm not a spider dude, so I kind of really hate spiders. So it's just like seeing the giant spider monster just kind of messes with my head a little bit. But luckily, May was able to dig in, got the device, turned to airborne gun. It's like, yay, we're alive. Winnie B ends up shocking the final authority person who came back to life. It's like, oh, we got to get rid of these bodies. And I love that one by one, they're dumping them. It's like, goodbye, what was it, Leslie? Goodbye, Lloyd. Goodbye. And at one point, Aleda's like, Mole? Because she's trying to remember his name. And then it's like, goodbye. And Isaac's like, actually, we didn't get delivery guy's name. Oh, well, goodbye. And just kind of, float everybody's body just out in space. So it's like, okay, interesting circumstances. I didn't talk about it either, but I also love the fact is that literally partway through this like murder mystery shenanigans, May had actually came up. No, Elena had come up. I'm sorry, I'm keep messing up names. I'm so sorry. Elena came up with a way to kind of deal with the whole Europa situation. But because of Leslie, now they have 3 tickets because she was planning on going herself, Because I love that was a thing in the episode too, because it's like call the authority, and it's like no, because everyone like they didn't know they wanted to call basically the Republic, law enforcement, because it's like this was kind of a murder mystery, but obviously none of the parking authority people wanted that to happen because it would it caused a situation of like we'd look guilty, so plus their jurisdiction and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's like I even love when, what was it, Mole, he was asking, he's like, wait, why don't you guys want to call them? And Isaac's like, because I believe we can handle this on our own. I believe in our ability to handle this on our own. But it's like, obviously, they're in the situation. Like, obviously, it's also interesting because they literally went the entire time. I almost halfway expected them to explain, like, their issues with, why they were going to Areopa and everything. But it never came down to that. But, Aleda does say you never got to find out a chance about like how to get to Earth, but it's like we'll find a way somehow. But then like it turns out they got a message. Obviously power was down, so they didn't get it. But like hours ago, a message got sent that one of the resistance, or rather the loyalists, the head of the loyalists, she's planning on dealing with this with a full frontal assault, basically to go into Areopa, and they're blowing up the city. That's her plan. Which obviously it's like there's a lot of innocent, because a lot of people are gathering around, like leaders from the planet, just people in general, like the public are going there. So a lot of innocent people are going to die. They're just going to be there. Like it's not their fault. Like Lazaro is a piece of crap that he is, but at the same time, it's a situation of like they're so desperate. It's like if this means killing Lazaro, especially with the Steersad, like they kind of have to do this. What's also interesting, because I skipped over it, but there was that conversation between May and Aleda, because Aleda was like, when we get there, I want to go to the throne alone. And May's like, oh, you're gonna do this? She's like, no, it's not even like that. The fact of the matter is, like, I have to be the one to go after, I might be the best chance against the Steersad, but even May's like, we don't know if you're immune or not. She's like, yeah, we might not, but we definitely know that you and Isaac aren't. So you could be affected, so she doesn't want them near. But that it begs the question, as, having royal blood in her veins, does it work on her or not? I think that's going to be like a very interesting situation to find out, because it kind of reminds me a little bit, kind of another comic book related thing, is Jessica Jones, like the whole Kilgrave situation, because she became the ultimate weapon because his powers couldn't work on her, because she kind of broke her, she straight up broke his control over her, so that kind of made her the ultimate weapon against fighting him. So it makes me wonder, we'll ultimately have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. Like I said, I've also brought this up before, does the Stirzad, as it is now, because it's not in its full powered state, does it have the same weaknesses that the Word of God does in Preacher? Once again, I'm going by the TV show because I've never read the comic book / graphic novel that it's based on. But also, he caught that scientist last episode, so she's helping him develop more of it, so he might have even more control over it. Now, by the time we catch up with him, we'll ultimately have to wait and see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode to, get some ideas, about what's going to happen. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.